You know the names, you've seen the plays, but what about the stories behind the game? Welcome to Honorable Mentions with Tanner Morgan and Quinn Carroll, two teammates turned storytellers, breaking down life, film, and everything in between. From locker room laughs to real-world lessons, nothing's off the record here. This is Honorable Mentions.
Morgan to throw, has time, lost one near side for Tyler Johnson. He has the catch at the 10, down the sideline, touchdown! What a play! He's got all the double, the one at the 10, turns it up 5, touchdown! Minnesota Golden Gophers!
Back to the Honorable Mentions podcast. I'm Quinn Carroll with the winningest quarterback in Gopher football history, Tanner Morgan. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to the last couple episodes. We're fired up for this one. It's been a while, so we've got a lot to cover. We'll start off with the Gopher football bowl game, the Rate Bowl against the New Mexico Lobos, 20-7 overtime thriller. Tanner, your thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first of all, I hope you like my backdrop of the lizards above my head. I'm on vacation.
Yeah,
and
tell us where you're at.
Pretty nice backdrop. I'm somewhere in Mexico, but we're getting this pod in, baby. Yeah, dude, I thought first and foremost, when you look at the opposing team, Jason Eck is a great football coach. I mean, that's the first thing I thought of, right? The guy's done a great job flipping it around. I remember going against him when he was offense coordinator at South Dakota State. But you look at the way he's climbed up the ranks from coaching, it's really impressive, right? Cut his teeth at D2s in Minnesota Mankato. Had a hilarious quote that Justin Guard, shout out Guardsy, talked about on X in one of his pressers leading up to the game that said, well, when you're a D2 coach, you don't go to Disneyland. You go to maybe a Twins game and that amusement park in Shakopee, talking about Valley Fair. I thought that was hilarious, right? Like just a very likable guy. But I think you saw the components of a really well-coached football team. And then I think for me, what was really impressive to see from the offensive side is Drake, definitely didn't get out to the start that he wanted. Some of that is, when you don't play football for a month, you have to figure out how to get back into your flow. And I'm sure there was other things that come into play there. But Jalen Smith's emergence was amazing, right? The catch that he had, the throw to the back of the end zone, kind of that cut 7 high corner to the back pylon. That was an absolute seed that Drake threw, and he made that catch was phenomenal. And then the switch verticals touchdown to win the game. Come on, dude. I mean, 2 top 10 catches, but that's to me something that's going to carry that connection between Drake and Jalen into the offseason where they feel even better going into next year, which is so important. If you don't have that in the bowl game, then Jalen's going to be able to walk into the offseason with that much more confidence, knowing he has to get a lot better, as everybody does. But just having that, I think it's going to give everybody in the building so much more confidence in what Jalen can do because they've all known it. I remember, when I was calling the game like week 3 or went to practice and training camp, like you saw what he had physically. Sometimes it just takes a little bit for that to show up, under the lights, but he did it in the bowl game with all the guys that were out, Kendrick and Lanier, Lemecki, all those guys, and he stepped up. And that to me was something where from a quarterback perspective, that gives you great hope to springboard into 2026. What about you?
Yeah. Also with Jalen on the leadership side, right? Like he balls out towards the end of the season, has a, career game against the Lobos, going into this offseason as a leader with hopefully a couple of wide receiver transfers. We need a guy like that, that's consistently growing with Drake to bring those guys along with him, right? If we have no leadership in that room, especially with a coaching change in that with that position, Jalen is going to be the guy along with the new wide receivers coach to really develop those transfers to hopefully have, a more explosive wide receiver game come 26.
Yeah, absolutely. Having somebody who can step into that role is critical in every position group. But I thought one of my favorite moments, as a alumni and fan, was Anthony Smith at the end of the game saying he's coming back for another year.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, I was like, man, I really hope he does. But I understand if he goes to the league or, even tries to see what's in the portal. But that's a guy who, talking about a leadership perspective going into the next year, who can stand in the room and say, hey, guys, I turned down other opportunities because I chose to be here.
Right.
I chose to be here at the University of Minnesota because I believe what we're doing and what we do with Throw the Boat and where we're going in the future. That was sweet. I mean, that was, tell me college football bowl games don't matter. That moment mattered. That
Right.
moment mattered in Anthony Smith's career, and it mattered for the University of Minnesota. And he did it in such a unique and a passionate way that I love, right? The fan inside of me loves that. And he obviously had a monstrous game, as we all knew he was going to. And next season, man, watch out. Like, the sky is the limit for what he can do. I mean, from an offensive line perspective, the challenges that he brings. I mean, if he can even continue to get better and stopping the run and all those things, I mean, he could have a incredibly productive 2026.
Dude, Ant is one of the hardest dudes in the world to block. Like, I've gone against some great players in the Big Ten, some great D linemen when I was at Notre Dame. Ant is among the top. Like, he is so hard to block in run and pass. He's so strong, so elusive. And I was personally shocked that he came back. Like, I'm very thankful that he is. He's a great leader, and will continue to be super productive on the defensive side. But when you're a first-team All-Big Ten guy, honored among some of the top defensive players in the conference, in the country, definitely has a high draft grade. Like, for him to come back and want to help the team more so than himself, that just speaks to his maturity level as he's grown throughout his college career. Because I remember him when he was a freshman, great player, but he's developed so much as a person and as a leader under Coach Fleck, and it's just a testament to Coach Fleck and how he develops guys not only on the field but as men.
Yeah, and with front office guys, with now we have the rev share, but also the beyond that, being able to find the capital to keep a guy like that if he's going to go back in college and not get poached, which kind of leads into a little bit of big news of Coy Parrish hitting the portal, right? Had a phenomenal freshman year, sophomore year kind of slumped maybe a little bit, right? Still phenomenal story, but he enters the portal. That's a huge reaction from the fan base. What's your initial reactions? Obviously, it's kind of I think he entered the portal 3 days after it was announced officially, but I think Miami's been rumored with Corey Heatherman, Oregon, with Dan Lanning. All those things are out there.
Ohio State.
But what do you Ohio State? Like, what do you think about that from an alumni fan perspective? Where some of the comments weren't great on the X machine about Coy. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, it's tough, right? Like, I feel bad for Coy. I feel bad that he's getting all this hate. You know what I mean? Like, as a hometown kid myself, as somebody who at one point turned down the University of Minnesota, and I received some hate for that as well. I feel for him. Like, it's totally different scale. He's an All-American player, and is transferring. But at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you. And if this is what he feels God is leading him to do, to transfer, to look for a different opportunity, a new start. And who knows, maybe if he had a equally good year this year than he did his freshman year, he would stay. But, we can't define why he's leaving. I don't even know if he can, but the hate that he's receiving is nothing that I'll stand for. I think the people that are doing that are selfish, quite frankly. Like, they want him for their team, and obviously so do we. But I think we should be supportive. Like, I am at least very supportive of him and his journey. Phenomenal player. He's done a lot for the state already. But I'm excited to see where he goes, what he ends up doing, and I hope that it's the right decision for him. Like we've said, the grass isn't always greener when you transfer, but I hope it is for him, and I hope he has a great career wherever he ends up.
Yeah, and he hasn't specifically ruled out a return to Minnesota, right? So that's obviously still in play. But he didn't, re-sign his deal, so that's an indicator of what may be happening. But let's remember the fact of the buzz that this did for the program when he decided to turn down Ohio State as the highly recruited guy out of Esco, Minnesota, to stay with the hometown team. The effect that he had, the USC game, what he did for the program. If he decides to leave, he pushed Minnesota football forward. A guy like Roman Voss turns down Alabama to go to Minnesota, likely because of a guy like Coy Parrish. Right. And so I think you got to look at the positives of what he brought to the program. And yeah, if he leaves, it's going to stink to see him go make plays for somebody else. But let's cherish the things that he did, and maybe he ends up coming back. It'd be hard for me to imagine that Corey Heatherman at Miami, the year they're having, he's the defense coordinator for the Miami Hurricanes, was at Minnesota last year. I believe that he's probably pushing pretty hard to get Coy at the U, and I know they have a lot of capital to get players like that. But who knows what's going to happen. I think we both align on this. Like, we're very thankful for what Coy did for the program and wish him nothing but the best. We're not going to be those petty guys. Obviously, would you love to see him stay? Of course. But this is the new age that we live in college football. But it makes you respect a guy like Anthony Smith even more, right? A guy who could have went to the draft and been probably a day 2 guy, maybe snuck up into the first round. I don't know the ins and outs of that. Clearly would have tested off the charts and will when he goes to the combine next year. But he made a decision to come back to Minnesota, and, you have to respect that. So let's think about the guys who have made those decisions, which another guy, running back Darius Taylor, came out and said that he is making a return back to the University of Minnesota staff, and he's going to be coached by none other than Gopher legend, all-time leading rusher, Mohamed Ibrahim. What a world. So excited for Mo. But let's talk about DT here for a second. What does that mean for him coming back? But then also from the O-line perspective, you got a lot of the same guys coming back up front, and in addition from Tennessee coming in so far. What have you seen from that relationship? And then maybe talk about Bennett Warren a little bit too.
Yeah, I'm really excited that DT's coming back. He's battled some injury. I think he should have come back. I think that was the right decision for him. Just to have another standout year and stay healthy, that's what will springboard him into a great NFL career, better opportunity in the draft, all those things. But as far as up front, you mentioned a guy like Anthony Smith sticking around. I'm thinking about a guy like Greg Johnson. Him sticking around is huge.
Baby.
Like, hometown kid. He's been playing super well. He could have transferred pretty much anywhere. He could have left for the draft if he wanted to. And him coming back to solidify that offensive line, to be a leader, and to really grow with the experience he has around him, but also bring in the guy like Bennett Warren, who's doesn't know the offense, doesn't know anybody up front. Greg is going to be the mainstay of that offensive line to help prepare a new guy to step in at the right tackle position. There will obviously be competition there. I hear there are a couple of young guys coming up, DJ Shipp being one of them, Andy Trout, who's early enrolling this January. I could see a three-way
Drake
competition.
Lindsay talked about
DJ
that. Shipp on our first episode, right? He talked about how excited he was for DJ with the bowl prep, right? So that's a guy who wants to get some experience to, that they clearly believe in for the future, that he can potentially be the guy, that gets the nod and being on that starting 5 up front.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just excited to see that competition because whether the Bennett Warren kid from Tennessee comes in and starts right away or not, he'll have guys behind him pushing him. And, if he doesn't win the starting job, if it's DJ Shipp, if it's Andy Trout, those guys will have the other two fueling them to be the best that they can be. And a young guy, an inexperienced guy at tackle is always tough, but Callie's going to get him right. PJ's going to get him right. And the other 4 guys are returning. Roy at left tackle, Greg at left guard, Beersy at center, Tony Nelson at right guard. Those guys have time on the field in big-time games. So those 4 guys with their experience couldn't be a better couldn't be in a better spot for the Gophers next year up front, at least, to get that right tackle position ready.
Yeah, development, right? Development is still important. Minnesota's a developmental program, which can still happen. Nathan Roy last season getting thrown into the fire a little bit early on will pay dividends for him going into next year, right? I have to believe that. And all the lessons that he learned, I know that it will kind of propel him into next year, right? As he continues to get better and understands what he needs to improve on.
Yeah. And he was a freshman All-American. So he did well.
Yeah, exactly.
He did very well.
And we say he's thrown into the fire, but he was prepared. But he would be the first person to tell you I could have done this and that better. But clearly they feel really good about him, as they should. And it was, invaluable experience. Now you go into, after a full year as a starter, you can just have a little bit more confidence because you've been there, done that. You understand what it takes, to go out there and be successful on any given Saturday and go make it happen, which I'm excited for, Brian Callahan and company, Greg Harbaugh and Coach Fleck, what they're doing, building, around that offensive line group, but also competition and depth is so important nowadays, right? I remember early on when the portal happened at Minnesota, sometimes it would be, a guy like Beanie Bishop gets poached to go to West Virginia. He ends up being an NFL player. Well, he was a crucial depth piece, a nickel piece for us. And we lost a guy like that. That depth that you can build in a program is so important, and they're clearly doing such a great job throughout the portal so far, and most importantly, developing high school guys too. But let's talk about Mo a little bit. Was at Kent State last year, now gets the job at Minnesota to be the running back coach, right? The alma mater. I mean, I think we all knew he was going to be a phenomenal coach, but it's exciting to see him back coaching at the U. I'm excited for what he's going to do, what he's going to bring to the program as a guy who's been there. Him and Darius have a great relationship, but I think he's going to just continue to push it forward. He knows what it takes to be successful at the U. He knows what you have to do. He knows what it's like. He overperformed like crazy. I mean, I love that guy. He's one of my best friends in the entire world, and I know he's going to be successful. And hearing that news and talking to him, it was, just amazing. We were, chatted before we got on this podcast here today, just about how excited he was. But what a great opportunity for him as a young coach to come back to his alma mater. You got a guy like Mariano Story Marine, Winston Delata-Badir did it. Now he's at Michigan State through going to the Cardinals. But Coach Fleck hiring guys who have been in the program, that know what it takes, that have lived the row the boat culture, been there, done it. And now you have this, these guys who are coaching it like Mo. And I think with him leading the room with Darius, obviously under the leadership of Brian Callahan and Eric Kaler, those guys up front in the run game, is going to be awesome, because he knows exactly what they're trying to do in the run game. He knows what it takes, to be successful. And let's also talk about this. People talked about Darius and his injuries, and a lot of it, he can't help, right? He's in the training room. He's doing what it takes, to take care of his body. Sometimes injuries, guys who don't do the prehab, that's on them. Darius is not one of those guys. He did everything that he needed to do, and sometimes it just happens. It's the game.
Yeah.
Mo fought through a ton of injuries, played through them almost every week. So he knows that life. He lived it not too long ago. And I think when you have a leader in your room like that who knows the struggle that you're going through, that trust and that relationship just runs so deep, and that allows you to really be able to coach somebody. So that relationship, Mo and Darius Taylor, I think is going to be something that's really special for the Big Ten Conference and then college football as a whole. Then obviously me, for selfish reasons, I'm so excited to see how that relationship continues to flourish going into 2026.
It's going to be dangerous, truly. Darius, the talent that Darius has, with the coaching that Mo brings to the table, like you said, not only in the position room, but just among the culture. Mo was a culture guy through and through, and was for 6 years, I believe he played. Obviously has pretty much every record under the sun there, but Darius is there to break them. Darius, that's Darius's goal. You hear him talk about it in the media, personal goals. He's talking about breaking Mo's record. That's what he wants to do, and probably part of the reason why he came back. And now he's got the man himself in front of him teaching him how to do that. So I think Mo will be a great friend to those guys in the room, to bond with them, and that's something that you really need in this day and age of college football. Because if you're not if you don't have a good relationship with your coach, a lot of guys will leave. But Mo will have such strong relationships with those guys in that room, not only with DT this year, but in years going forward. But also, he's not afraid to jump on you. You know what I mean? He was a terrific leader when I was playing there with him, with you. He's a terrific leader, and he'll be able to lead that room no problem. He's not afraid to get on their ass a little bit and light a flame to get them going. All he has to do is pull up his film to show them how it's done. So that's pretty
right.
exciting for the Gophs.
The standard is the standard.
Right.
That's how it rolls.
Talking about
and when you have a guy who's lived it, been there, done that.
Another coaching change with Matt Simon not coming back for the 2026 season. They got a new guy coming in. I know you're close with him. Talk about that relationship and what you're looking forward to with the wide receiver room.
Yeah, I mean, I won't speak too much on the Simon piece. I love Matt Simon to death. Spent a lot of time with that guy. I think he's a phenomenal football coach and a phenomenal person.
Absolutely.
And he'll continue to be successful at whatever's next, right? Whatever and wherever is next, he'll be successful. And really, I just want to thank him. I mean, I'm sure he's not listening to this.
We'll make sure
maybe
he's
other
listening.
people are, but yeah. But man, I loved learning from that guy, being in the room with that guy, and just really thankful for the impact that he had on my life. And with the change, I think they hired a great guy, though. Isaac Frichte is a phenomenal coach, alumni from the University of Minnesota. His dad is a legendary football coach in Caledonia, Minnesota, runs a phenomenal program, comes from a great family. Isaac has kind of, played in the NFL for the Minnesota Vikings, ran a West Coast NFL style system, and has been a coordinator ever since he got out. From the D3 ranks, moving up to D2 at Northern State, to Winona State, coaching Cole Stenstrom, a guy who works with us at QB Motion, who does a phenomenal job, and then move into North Dakota, now gets the job at Minnesota. But the guy is a phenomenal teacher, coach, and a great relationship builder, and I think he'll be a great fit, with Coach Fleck and with Coach Harbaugh. And I think that hire made a ton of sense. But I also think you got to highlight assistant receiver coach Nick Faust, who was there in the room this year, and kind of what he can do to help Isaac and help those guys moving forward. I remember him when he was a GA, when I was a senior, man. I mean, I love Nick. Nick's a great coach. And I'm just excited for him as he continues in his career. But I think that's a huge piece of it too. And nowadays, coaching staffs are so much different from when we entered college football. Right now, every Big Ten team has a true position coach and a legit assistant position coach who's most of the time compensated for the way they should be compensated, that are really helping the coaches coach. It's more of an NFL model instead of a GA who's in and out, but he's doing a bunch of a million other objects. But these assistant coaches have a great job. I think of the quarterback room. Keegan O'Hara at Minnesota does a great job with helping Drake, and obviously Greg Harbaugh does too, but Keegan has a big responsibility in helping the quarterbacks develop as well. And so I think kind of how that model shifted, you have to highlight some of the assistant coaches in these position rooms as well. And I think Nick's going to be a guy that's going to help Isaac a ton. Isaac's going to help Nick in his career, obviously, but them together, and obviously Isaac leading that charge. I'm excited for what it's going to bring, for that room, where their vision is to go forward and how they're going to add it. And then when you add a guy who's called plays for a long time at whatever level, it's another set of eyes that understands holistically what it takes for an offense to be successful. Obviously, Matt Simon called plays. He called the plays for the Outback Bowl when we went and won that thing in 2019, now the ReliaQuist Bowl. But, I think Isaac's a great coach. He's going to do a great job. But I want to obviously give my respects to Matt Simon and wish him nothing but the best, because I love him, respect him, and, hope that the next thing is a phenomenal thing for him moving forward. Yeah,
absolutely. I couldn't echo that any better. Love Matt Simon. He recruited me to the U out of high school. We built a great relationship there. And then coming back, getting to spend time with him, he was always a player's coach. And, whether he continues to coach or not, like he will find a great opportunity elsewhere, and he'll be extremely successful.
Quinn, I want you to talk about a game that you were at. The Honorable Mention podcast was at. Brought by none other than our leader, Quinn Carroll. And I want you to talk about the Indiana Hoosiers dominating the Alabama Crimson Tide. And then I have to get your take on the one and only future Honorable Mention podcast guest, Pat Coogan, winning the MVP of the Rose Bowl. Give me your thoughts.
Dude, it was surreal. Honestly, I've been to a couple of Indiana Hoosiers games this year. I was there when they beat Iowa at Iowa. I was there when they embarrassed UCLA at home. And I've been a huge Indiana fan this year just because of my buddy Pat. We played together at Notre Dame. Close friend of mine, will be forever. But I figured I'd travel there to watch them play in the Rose Bowl. Such an awesome game. The granddaddy of them all. My buddy Joe Alt, he lives out there, so I was able to crash with him and go to the game with him and Pat's family. It was such
NFL
a fun
Pro
experience. NFL Pro Bowler, in case you didn't know. But got to go with Joe and Pat's family, and it was just surreal. Watching them hang 38 points against Alabama and their defense flying around holding them to 3. I mean, like, you couldn't write it up any better for Indiana. Talk about Big Ten versus SEC. Who knows how they're going to come off the bye week, because right now I think college football playoff is 1-7 with teams coming off their bye week, and Indiana is the only one win.
Yes, they are.
And it just speaks to how they're coached and the type of players that they brought in this offseason and even last offseason with Coach Signetti. So it was so much fun. And after the game, we're all excited, fired up that Indiana won the game. That's kind of like slipped my memory almost, because I was focused on the game. That was incredible, but I almost forgot about all of that when Reese Davis named Pat Coogan the offensive MVP of the Rose Bowl. I mean, it's crazy to even think about that. You never hear an offensive lineman's name called as the MVP, and it just happened to be a close friend of mine. So there wasn't a dry eye in the house. We were all pretty fired up about that, and it's gone viral, the fact that he won the MVP and he played such a great game. But hopefully this springboards Indiana into another great win against Oregon coming up this week.
Oh, dude, I cannot wait for that game. But yeah, Indiana, I mean, just basically did whatever they wanted to against Alabama. I mean, Kurt Signetti is the one coach, like you said, coming off of a bye to win in a college football playoff. You said 1-7. He's the one, right? And he's one of the best coaches in college football. I can't wait for people to write books about what he's done in his profession and how he does it, and attacking complacency and all those things, right?
He said it'd be a hell of a movie.
Yeah, and it would be Hoosiers 2.0, baby. Hoosiers football edition. But yeah, man, Pat Coogan winning the MVP was awesome. And Fernando Mendoza went nuts when he got it. And I think we should have more. My honorable mention out of nowhere, out of left field, is I want more O-line MVPs in bowl games.
Yeah, dude. Seriously,
when they deserve it.
That would be.
Can we just have
that'd
like
be
can
awesome.
we just have like MVP offensive line unit? that would be sweet.
What I loved the most was seeing
awesome.
the teammates celebrate with Pat. It just talks about it speaks to his influence on that team in the 10, 11 months that he's been there. Coming from Notre Dame, played for a national championship at Notre Dame, showing up in Indiana and really, adapting to their culture. And, he obviously fits so well there, but he is the hardest worker in the room. He's the first one in, last one out, always. I know that for a fact. And the people respect him like nobody else on the team. I mean, they have a Heisman winner at quarterback, and they love Pat Coogan more than anybody else on that team. And I'm just so proud of him and the work that he's put in to get to where he is. But if he were with us today, he'd say there's more to do, which is true. And I'm excited for how he's going to lead that team in the next couple games that they have coming up. But I'm so fired up to have Pat on the podcast. I can't even tell you.
Yeah. Let's talk just briefly about Indiana, Oregon. I believe that's the Friday night game.
Yeah.
Coming up here. Rematch. Indiana beat Oregon in Eugene this year. I think it's going to be one of, I don't know. Don't ask me to pick a side right now. I could not tell you. I mean, I'd lean Indiana after what I saw them play against, how I saw them play against the Crimson Tide. But that game is going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see Oregon play Indiana. And that's a rematch from earlier this season. You've got two physical teams. I really wonder how it's going to work out with Oregon. Both of their coordinators are head coaches at other Power 4 schools.
Yep.
That's my fear for Oregon. I know they're locked in for their game planning and the opportunity to go and win a national championship, but they're still building out. And the portal window open one time a year. This is their chance to build their roster for their first year as a head coach. That's got to be so demanding. And I mean, I don't know, but it leads to what Dan Lanning talked about with the calendar. He talked about the college football calendar. He said we should play every Saturday in December. The national championship should be on December 1st, and it should be over. Coaches could go, and the portal opens the next day. What are your thoughts on that? I think it makes a ton of sense. And you move. He said you move week 1 to week 0. You start that game. You start there, then you play straight off into the sunset. Every Saturday in December, you roll it. January 1 is the end of the college football season. What do you think? You think that model would work?
Yeah, I agree with him 100%. It also just speeds things up a little bit. You know what I mean? There's not much waiting around. And the season is technically shorter, it ends sooner. But you get to see it develop a lot quicker. There might still be a bye week for those top 4 teams, but I'm really excited to see if that's where the college football playoff goes. Listening to their coaches, one of the best coaches in the playoffs right now, listening to the guys like that, and adapting to it. So I'm not sure if that will happen, but it would certainly be cool. I'm excited to see Oregon
it's a
play
better
Indiana.
model.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I mean, I think it's going to be a great game.
Yep.
I can't make a pick, but I do think going back to you have these coordinators, Will Stein and Josh, and I'm going to mess up his name, Lapoy at Cal. He's going to Cal.
Yeah.
I mean, man, it just doesn't make any sense to me. We have to fix that. Can Nick Saban and company figure something out so that these coaches can actually be on one team right now? I mean, and I get it. They should. Will Stein is a Kentucky guy through and through. As a guy who grew up in Kentucky, I can't wait to see him leading the Cats. Nate Dotson's a friend of mine. And Chad Wilt is actually going to be on his staff at Kentucky as well. Former Gopher defensive line coach. But I think it just doesn't make sense because they have to take the job. They have to be in the portal. But, by the way, you have a chance to go win a national championship, and that is very important.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to kind of be in both worlds, man. It's hard. Even Ole Miss is doing that right now, right? They've got the coaches going back and forth between LSU and Ole Miss. Charlie Weiss Jr. is calling the plays for Ole Miss, but he's going to be the offense coordinator at LSU. I just don't like it. That's my opinion. I would love to see that problem get fixed because it doesn't happen in the NFL, right? And as college football, right, the ratings are very high right now, but we have to figure out a way to fix that moving forward, or else the product will be diminished at some point. You know what I mean? At some point.
Yeah.
But
what do you think
not
about
being diminished is go ahead.
What do you think about Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin not being able to coach, but some of these coordinators still being able to coach, even though they've taken head jobs elsewhere? It was a little bit of a rocky leave there for Lane Kiffin, but there are a lot of people who think that he should still be the head coach, especially now that they're performing the way they're performing, and they could very easily, if they keep playing the way they're playing, they could very easily make it to the title game. I think the Hoosiers would clean them up, but by some grace of God, they win the national title. does Lane Kiffin deserve a ring for what he did in the regular season? Like, should he have
Absolutely.
been the head coach for this playoff run?
He absolutely deserves credit. He absolutely deserves credit for being a national championship winning coach, even though it's going to have a major asterisk on it because he wasn't the guy who lifted up the trophy at the end of the ceremony. But he built the roster, he built the team, he managed the staff, he created the staff. Right? Pete Golding is a phenomenal coach. Is going to continue the success at Ole Miss. Obviously, they're having a probably the best season they've had in a very long time. Obviously, in the playoff, being successful, doing what they're doing right now. But yeah, Lane Kiffin deserves credit. For me, it's a bigger issue of what's going on in the system of college football because Lane was in a awful situation of, do I go take the LSU job, which is considered one of the top 5 jobs in college football, and where you could have continued success and win multiple national championships and do what Nick Saban did at an Alabama, right? Or stay at Ole Miss, finish out the year, and stay there, even though deep down inside you want to go to LSU. To me, like, he obviously wanted to stay and coach his team at Ole Miss, but I understand why they wouldn't let that happen and why it's better for him at LSU to go and start building his roster. What sucks is he lost out on his number 1 quarterback in the portal, Brendan Sorsby, committing to Texas Tech over the Tigers. They'll find another great quarterback to go lead the charge there. But, Brendan Sorsby allegedly is getting $5 million to go to Tech and turn down LSU to go. Texas Tech was in the college football playoff. Oregon obviously rolled them. But to me, it's the bigger issue of, like, the calendar we've created through college football and what all these coaches talk about when they're at the podium of what they want to change. That's that. And you put a guy in the situation he was in is, it's so difficult. Coach the team that I love, the players that I love, for a chance to go win a natty, or I'm thinking long-term for my career where I would have potentially more success, where I would want to be. And in those situations, you have to be selfish, just like the guy who enters the portal has to be selfish. And so I get it. I just don't like it. You know what I mean?
But then
what
again,
I do love is a guy like Pete Golding.
But then
I
again,
just love
long
Pete
term,
Golding taking his chance. Ole Miss hires him, and now he's going and being successful, and they're building their season and what they're doing for the future. But yeah, go ahead.
Then again, long term, like, is LSU a better opportunity? I mean, Ole Miss is in the semis. Ole Miss is in the semis. Like he could build. Think about Dabo Swinney at Clemson.
Yes.
Think about Curt Cignetti at Indiana. Like, Curt Cignetti probably 100%. Could go anywhere he wants, but he's staying.
He could have stayed at Ole Miss and built a continual playoff team, but LSU is LSU. Just like Michigan is Michigan, Ohio State's Ohio State, Alabama's Alabama. Like a job, when you say the name, you're like, ooh, yeah. Like the resources that he has at LSU. Now, did he have a ton of resources at Ole Miss? Yes. But it's LSU. That's the only thing to me in today's day and age. Like, you have to think about that. I think when you look into the whole factor of, he said he was incredibly happy at Ole Miss, like, did he want to risk his happiness? That's a whole other story we could get into. But you're right. Like, they are competing. They are in the semis and have a chance to go and win a national title. The only question is, can you repeat that multiple times at Ole Miss like you could at an LSU once you get it rolling?
I think it comes down to the type of person that Lane Kiffin is. I'm not saying anything here nor there, but Curt Cignetti, I don't believe he's going anywhere, and he will certainly find continued success at Indiana that hasn't won more than 7-8 games in the last however many years. Like, it's the
good counterpoint. It really is.
It's the type of program you're looking for, and Curt Cignetti's building that at Indiana. It seems that he has built it in 2 years already. Dabo Swinney at Clemson, like, they've always been a good program, but when they were winning national titles and ACC titles dang near every year, that was something that Dabo built, and he could have left to go probably LSU, elsewhere. Brian Kelly went to LSU and found less success than he found at Notre Dame. So I think people are.
He also
coaches are chasing
a Southern accent, and that went over well.
He faked a Southern accent, but coaches are chasing money more so than they are, oh my God, it's LSU, or oh my God, it's Michigan, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
well, I think that's part of it, but I think when you say money, it's they obviously they're being compensated at a very high level, but Ole Miss was going to pay him a ton of money too. It's more of will I have the resources to be one of the top 5 programs in the country, to pay the players the way that I want to pay the players, to have the staff I want to pay the staff? And Ole Miss, obviously you can have that, but those are the counterparts where you have to look at it of, well, LSU is going to offer this of what I can build. It will be easier to do it there and sustain it long term. But who knows?
That's
I
fair.
wasn't in those conversations. We weren't in those. But but you're right. Like if a guy's, hey, I want to be at Ole Miss, you can build Ole Miss to being a college football playoff team every year. You could.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right with that counterpoint. But LSU, my friend, is LSU. That's what
fair.
I'm going to stick to, and I understand why he would take that job. But it's weird for him probably to be able to watch these games and see what Ole Miss is doing, even though he's continuing to get LSU is paying his bonuses for what he would be doing if Ole Miss is winning. So if they win a national championship, Ole Miss is going to pay the difference for that, which I think or LSU is going to pay the difference for that, which I think is incredibly interesting.
That's fair. Let's talk about another top 5
about
job.
Ole Miss. Go ahead.
Let's
Top
talk about
5.
another top
Ooh,
5 job
Michigan?
at Michigan. Kyle Whittingham from Utah, sterling record, which is huge for the Michigan men, especially lately. So he's got a sterling record. Obviously, a phenomenal coach. Was a D coordinator under Urban Meyer at Utah back in the day. Been at Utah a long time. Great head coach. And he had already left. We were talking about Lane Kiffin. That was kind of a shaky leave there for him dropping Ole Miss to go to LSU. He had already left or, resigned as Utah's head coach, and then Michigan comes and finds him. What do you think about that hire?
Yeah, and news. I was looking at my phone because Bryce Underwood has committed to staying at Michigan. It's a big get, right?
Wow.
Building around that guy. I think when you look at Kyle Whittingham, he's bringing in a great offense coordinator in Jason Beck. But sustainability, a guy who's a proven winner. He's done it the right way at Utah. There was no mess there, but there was mess there in the fact that he left Utah in a sense of, I'm resigning, because he didn't want to overstay his welcome, but then gets the Michigan job. So like maybe the front office guys, the admin at Utah is like, oh, should we have pushed Kyle Whittingham out? I don't know. I don't know if they weren't pushing him out. He was resigning on his own will, but he's a true football coach. And I think he's going to have success at Michigan because he's going to bring kind of cultural sustainability, that term, like you said, a sterling record. But I think when you look at what his team is, I think of toughness and what they were in the Pac-12, winning Rose Bowls. They were tough, a tough team, period. And he had built up a winner there. And I think offensively, they've done such a unique job of molding to their players. When they had Cam Rising, they were true kind of pro style, still kind of zone read-ish a little bit, but they played to their player strengths. Cam Rising did a great job. The past 2 years, they've been more kind of zone triple option, which even goes back to Urban's time at Utah a little bit, kind of the DNA of it. And kind of bringing that a little bit into what Bryce Underwood can do can allow him to be incredibly successful. I'm excited for that matchup, what they're doing. But I think this was the home run hire for them, right? When you go through what they went through, I mean, the past 3 years really with the cheating scandal, both cheating scandal, whatever. I don't want to talk bad about it, but when you have the scandals that they had, you had to bring in a guy like a Kyle Whittingham, and it's a guy who is a proven winner, who's been successful, who's going to bring some of that sustainability there, and who knows what he can do with the resources that Michigan offers. I think it was a great hire.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, I keep coming back to the fact that he has a sterling record. But everything on the field, he'll succeed there, no doubt. Like you said, it's top five school to be hired at. And he'll bring a great culture there. He'll bring in great players and coordinators and coaches. But I'm fired up to hear that they are keeping Bryce Underwood, because retainment of players that were already there, all these 5 stars that want to play for Michigan, those boys staying at home will be huge for that program. Let's go back to the playoffs a little bit with Ole Miss beating Georgia. It seems like Ole Miss is playing better football in the playoffs than they were even in the regular season. Do you think that that's because of they feel spited that Lane Kiffin left, or do you think that's just the way Pete Golding's running things over there?
Maybe a little bit of both. Also, it's
Yeah.
just a great team. They had a great regular season too. Obviously, they got beat by Georgia in the regular season, but they're peaking at the right time, which is important. And Pete Golding, all credit to him, has gotten that team to play hard and to peak at the perfect time. And I loved in his post game in the locker room when they would flip the sign, he said, "Trinidaddy, come flip that thing." And it goes back to the way that guy is playing, Trinidad Chambliss, and what he is doing. Talk about a story. Fair State, which, by the way, Fair State won the D2 National Championship again without Trinidad Chambliss. A storied program. He takes a huge bet on himself to go to Ole Miss, ends up starting in the middle of the season for Austin Simmons, who gets hurt, and now he's got a waiver into the NCAA to try to get another year. If he gets it, he's going to stay at Ole Miss. He is balling right now. I mean, he's just playing phenomenal football and is going to have a long career ahead of him. And it shows a lot of these guys who bet on themselves and play good football at lower levels. They can play in the SEC and play in the national. I mean, he's played in a national championship before, just at the D2 level. And he's might be playing. He might go from winning the D2 national championship to the next year playing in. He's already playing in the college football playoff, but actually playing in the Division I playoff. How crazy is that? Great quarterback play. Pete Golding's doing a great job. It's wild. But, I mean, it shows you, like, we have Miami's what, the 10 seed? Right? Yep. Miami's the 10 seed. And we talked 3 weeks ago about, well, should it have been Notre Dame? Should it have been Miami's playing phenomenal football. Mario Cristobal has this team peaking at the right time. Corey Heatherman, defense coordinator, Shannon Dawson, they are peaking at the right times. That's what's important. And I think kind of whatever these coaches are doing to get that to happen is critical, and they're doing it, right? Georgia had the bye, and obviously it bit him in the butt. We talked about it, the 1-7. Kurt Cignetti's the only one to win off of a bye week in college football playoff, which is what Dan Lanning doesn't want. Ole Miss is playing go ball. They're the 6th seed. Miami's playing go ball. They're the 10 seed, right? I mean, it doesn't matter where you get seated. You just got to get into the dance. We see it in the, in tournament time. You know, you just got to get into the dance, and you never know what can happen. The 10th seed is in the semifinals, and they have just as much a chance as every other team to win the whole thing.
Yeah, Miami is playing out of their mind right now. Like a few weeks ago, I did say that I think Notre Dame should be in over Miami, even though the head-to-head and blah, 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 you disagreed. Hand up accountability, you disagreed with me, though. So you're right, I'm wrong. But
yeah, I'm like 1-6, though, as Mohammed Ibrahim pointed out on our Instagram, though, and our picks, so whatever.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. That might be my fault for putting you in picks that you didn't actually make. But
no, dude, it's right. Hey, it's on me.
Dude, but Miami is so fun to watch right now. They truly are, and I can't wait to see how it shakes with them coming up here. But I'd love to see either Ole Miss or Miami in the title game. I think Indiana's going to beat Oregon, but talk about Oregon versus Texas Tech, 23-0. People say that the SEC is better than the Big Ten. I disagree with that, but the Big Ten and SEC are certainly better than the Big 12, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I think that was proven last weekend, Oregon versus Texas Tech.
Yeah, I think Texas Tech's going to be even better next year. That's my opinion. Yeah. And they'll be the team that can close that Big 12 gap, right? The differences. It's a good conference, but it's not the Big 10, not the SEC. Oregon is a great football team, and they play physical, fast, tough football in all three phases. And that caught up to them. I think Brendan Sorsby at Texas Tech will be a big get. And I think with what they have, what they've invested, the belief that they have in the program, led by Joey McGuire, I think they're going to be even better than they were this year. I really do. I really do think that. And just kind of having him at the helm for another year, you know, they are arguably the top spender in the NIL game. So not only do they have kind of the culture piece, but they have the capital to go and do it. Nothing tells me why they won't be better next year than they were this year. So Texas Tech will be the team to kind of maybe close that Big 12, the Big 12 is not as good. Well, top to bottom, the Big 10 and the SEC obviously are. We could all look at that. But I think Tech is going to be even better next year. That's my opinion. That's my take. Maybe it'll come out bad. Who knows? I've had some bad takes already, so we'll see.
I'll write that down just for next year when Texas Tech is in the semis or something. We can circle back to this. Getting into the audience mentions. Getting into the audience mentions. We had a couple. I'll pick one for myself. We had Tanner answer one last week. This was actually DM'd to me directly, which is interesting. But hey, we'll take them. You want to DM me? You want to DM Tanner? DM the pod on social media. Comment on any YouTube video. Do with it as you will. But somebody asked, if Notre Dame were to play Minnesota, who would Quinn cheer for? And that's a tough one because played at both spots, and I love Notre Dame, loved my time there. But if Notre Dame played Minnesota, I'd be wearing maroon and gold, through and through. From the state, played here.
Good answer.
I'm a gopher through and through. I'll always love the Fighting Irish, but I would 100% be cheering for the Gophers, and it'd be likely a big upset depending on how the rankings were at the time. But I think the Minnesota going into next year has a legitimate shot to have an all-time year, and I hope they run into Notre Dame in the playoffs next year. That would be incredible.
That'd be sweet.
Tanner, I know who you're cheering for if that matchup shakes out next year in the playoffs when both of them are in it. Coming up here, we've got our interview with the one and only Jameson Geers. He is an honorable mention himself. Shout out honorable mentions. We love JMO on the pod. Terrific tight end for the Gophers. He's in the pre-draft process right now. He started today, so we're excited for him. Can't wait to see what he's up to in the coming months, and hearing from him a little bit more and just seeing where he ends up. He's got a great opportunity in the NFL, great body, great film, and I think that he'll. Yeah, that's on me. But you know what I mean? His build.
I'm sorry, he does have a good body for a scout perspective, but
from a scout perspective, that was a little shaky on my end.
Yeah,
but
it's okay.
No, he will have a terrific opportunity in the NFL, and I can't wait to see him make the most of it. We already covered our honor roll this week, Tanner. I gave 2 in remembrance of you, but I'd love to hear yours before we close it out.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, my honor roll. Can I give you a dishonorable mention, actually?
Yes, I'd love one. Yes, please.
My dishonorable mention is flying out of the country, or just flying in general, long flights with 2 kids under 2.5. I love my children, but that is my dishonorable mention. That's my only one. My honorable mention.
Was it crying and trying to entertain him the whole time, or what was going on?
Well, when your flight's at 5 a.m., it's brutal for a toddler.
Oh, man.
But we made it through. My wife's a trooper. She did a great job.
Hats off to you guys.
But that's my dishonorable mention. I mean, you got to think about a toughness and being a tough player, right? That's being a tough parent. It really is. Taking your kids on flights. And that's such, first class or, first world problems. But, it's a grind. The parenting world is a grind. My honor roll is going to be Minnesotans who vacation in the winter because they want to be at the lake all summer. Shout out Minnesotans who vacation in the winter.
Let's go.
That's kind of out of left field. But thank you for giving 2 honor rolls in honor of me, who is
you don't have 2?
You can't pick just one. No, I gave you a dishonor roll. I only did
That's
one
fair.
today. I gave you 2 overall.
That's fair.
And I will echo the fact that I love my children dearly, and I love being a father. But flying with young kids is really hard. And if any of our listeners have tips, please, please, please send them in to our DMs because I need all the tips. My wife does a great job. I'm worse at it. So I need the tips. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll go to our interview here now. Follow us on all socials @_the HM pod. Hit us on YouTube. Follow us, like, comment, subscribe. Give us some comments. Give us the audience mentions. We love to hear from you guys. And we'll do our best to answer all those questions here on the pod. But thanks for tuning in. We'll go to myself and JMO now. Love you guys. See ya. Hey, welcome back to the Honorable Mentions podcast. We got our awesome guest, Jameson Geers, with us. Got a few questions for him. Hopefully he can drop some sweet insight for you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Jameson is an honorable mention himself, so that's huge. Runs deep in the blood with us here at the Honorable Mentions podcast. So, Jameson, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. So, you just played your last game as a Gopher. Tell us a little bit about that feeling, kind of how your career wrapped up there, and really just how you developed a love for the team, for the state, coming from Chicago, and all those things.
Yeah. It's really crazy to say that I'm done with Gopher football. I've been there for 5 years, and it was kind of a full circle moment to be back in Phoenix for the Rate Bowl. And when I first got there in 2021, my freshman season, that's where we went, and we played West Virginia and won that game. And that was the start of 5 for 5 bowl wins. And it was the year that we won the Axe, and we ended up winning the Axe that next year as well, back to back. And then we did it again last year and this year. So yeah, it was really full circle. It was a lot of fun. Like, the past 5 years, I've made so many friends, so many brothers. To just kind of soak in this last month. It was really special. Just taking it all in, hanging out with the guys, and just really like being appreciative of the program and all the coaches and stuff. Um, so it was really cool to look back on and spend that week, kind of get away from the cold for 8 days or so. So it was pretty fun. The game was also amazing. We had a really good time, played on a great field, and got the dub. So I'm super proud of my guys, and I'm looking forward of how it kind of looks next year when I'm away, and they can carry the great tradition and culture and keep on having great seasons.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I know how you feel. It's weird when it's over, it's over. Like, you're always going to
Yeah.
wish you can go back and play another game in the maroon and gold. But it's crazy how when it's over, like, there's nothing you can do. And you just hope you have no regrets looking back. And I know you don't, because you worked your butt off every single day in there and made the most of your time. Talk about the tradition of the tight end room. Like, coming out of high school, there were guys that were just leaving, like Keeft. There were guys like Brevin, who was in his final couple years there, as a leader, and then how Nick Callerup, who's on an active roster right now, and then dating back to guys like Max Williams, Ben Utek, Matt Spaeth. Talk about the tradition of the tight end room at Minnesota and how that influenced your decision to come here and hopefully grow into that position as you did your last couple of years there, being the leader of that room.
Yeah, it was, when I was getting recruited in high school, like, I had no idea what I was walking into. Like, looking back on it, of just how blessed I was, and, just to come into that room with those guys, they just had so much for me to learn. And, I think it's really cool about, the tight end room is there's, what, 6 to 8, maybe 9 guys in there, at a time. And so, like, the connection in the room is really, really important, um, especially when there's multiple guys playing. And so, when I was getting recruited, different tight ends coach, but the culture was there, and Co was the leader of the room coming back for his last year, and Brev was right beside him, playing a lot as well, and Nick was kind of in that position of, he's being really valuable in special teams, and he's getting ready to fulfill a huge role um, the next year my freshman year, and so we had established guys in the room, and that we had a standard of how you play tight end in the Big Ten, and um, I thought it was super valuable when I first got there. Just coming from high school, I was really fortunate to be in a great situation. Um, I was I was like the only young guy for that first fall camp, and so I had a lot of development that whole first year, and I really really needed it because as a freshman, you know how it is in the O line. It takes time to, build up in the weight room, get everything right scheme wise and in the playbook, and having to go out there and do it against real guys. And so like that was super important, and that was super valuable for me to be in the room, to have those guys ahead of me that, I could always pick their brain. I could always ask questions. I was always able to, kind of watch how they did things and implement it into, things that I do myself. And that's what, uh, that's what made my experience so great as a young guy, was to have those guys in front of us. And even the alumni, like you said, Max came and sat down with the tight ends a few weeks ago at one of our Friday night dinners at the hotel, and he just all connected with our guys, the tight ends, and it was really cool to see like how connected our former players are, and what it means to be a Gopher, and to give back to the guys that play after you. And so that's
Right.
obviously, that it means a lot when you're a player. Like, you kind of see where the room like has came, like you kind of see where the history and the tradition comes from. So that's really cool. It was a great experience to kind of just look behind Co and see his success in his last year. Um, and then it translated to him being able to get drafted and go and be super productive in the NFL. And um, same with Brev. I was able to play with Brev uh, a few more years, and just kept on building a great connection and a great friendship. And um, he taught me a lot of things in the past game when we had coaching changes or whatever happened, this and that. Like the room stayed strong and kept together, and it was really just like about us. It was about the dudes and in the locker room, on the field, and just kind of going through my development with him in front of me, and him being one of the strongest and best tight ends, um, in the past couple seasons that he was there. It was really really it was really great for me. And as I kind of was getting a bigger role and started getting more playing time, that was when me and Nick kind of took the show after Brevin left. And
Right.
man, we just had so much fun. And Nick, like he's a brother, and he's part of your family, and he treats you like family, and um, he does that on the field as well. And it's easy to work hard when you have a guy like that next to you, and just what he put into it and where he came from. Like his story is unbelievable, and like it just makes everything so worth it. Like all the hard days, the hard times, and like the adversity, you guys, like you just turn to someone like that and you're just like, dude, let's go. Like this is nothing. You know what I mean? Like this is
Yeah.
only a small bump, and the great times are amazing because we love to celebrate and we love to have a great time. And so all that hard work you put in, and when you get to hoist up a trophy or you get to hoist up the axe, and you see Nick running around Camp Randall with a mohawk. I mean, like, you couldn't be
Yeah,
more
you
happy
can't
for
beat
him.
that.
Like,
You
you
can't
literally
beat it.
can't beat it. It's like, it's a surreal, it's picture perfect. And I think like it's really cool to have like Brev, Nick from Minnesota, Co from Iowa, and me from Chicago, and we have a bunch of young guys that are from the area and from Illinois as well, and so it's super cool to kind of morph into that leader over my past 5 years, and last year was kind of my first year of being in a bigger role with Nick, and then this year, with the room, I think we were at a really good spot, and just in this landscape of college football, I was really proud of how connected our room was, and just kind of wanting the best for each other. Like we always competed, we always we always held each other accountable, and I think that really like helped us bond, and that's what I kind of want to leave my legacy with those guys is to uphold the standard that the guys before me set, and always making an effort, a big effort to improve, you know, being a tight end in the Big Ten. Like there's so many jobs that you can do, and you can be super valuable in many different things. So I think just for those young guys, it was important that they find, where they're gonna fit in and do it to the best of their ability, and keep the culture and the standard and the tradition of the tight end room to where it needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so important. I got to see that firsthand, with Brev, and then, Brev developing Nick developing you and some of the other guys. And then even with you, with some of those younger guys coming up through the room. I was at some practices and games this year, got to see that firsthand. So that was awesome. Touch a little
Yeah.
bit about like your process at the U. You had like 3 or 4 tight end coaches, 2 coordinators. And just the importance of the guys in that room holding strong together and the leadership in that room, that it doesn't matter who's coaching us, we got each other.
Yeah. And I really think the off seasons really help with that just because of how player run, player led a lot of the things are leading into spring ball, and then you roll into spring ball, and you're introducing some new coaches. I've had a few tight end coaches, and for the most part it was really seamless just because of what the room was. It was kind of unwavering of what the guys are going to be like in the room, so when the coach comes in there, everything is already established,
Yeah.
and the coach just has to get familiar to how we operate as a room, and then we can just go. And I think for the past like over 2 years with Kaler in our room was really, really helpful. He kind of taught us. He showed us the game in a quarterback's mind, and from a quarterback's view, and so that really helps a tight end because one play you're in the backfield helping with protection with the O line, and then the next play you're running routes, and then the next play you're in the run scheme, and so it's like the more you can know about how the offense operates is really important, and it just helps you play fast, and when you play fast you execute better, and
Yeah.
you're able to make more plays, you're able to just play much better and way faster. And so for you know my first years, it was really important that the coach kind of developed me, and I've had guys come and go, and coaches that are chasing their dreams, and so looking back on it, I don't, I have no bitter taste about, coaches leaving or whatever, because I feel like my relationship with our tight ends coach the past 2 years was, is really amazing, and it helped me a lot be a better football player and a better man. And I think with Coach Flack and just him being there all those, my whole career, it also really helped because, the culture was instilled in everyone. And so the older guys knew exactly what the culture was, exactly what it looked like. And so when you get there as a young guy, you get acclimated into it right away. And guys were just able to do it themselves almost rather than having to, get coaches to pull it out of you or, to kind of whip you into shape. But, I think what the players do is really important at Minnesota, and which is why I think we've been so successful and we've been able to utilize, every opportunity and every minute in the off season to, to build a relationship, to build a culture, and then understand how to win football games and being the smartest team out in the field. We take a lot of pride in that. Take a lot of pride of knowing how to win games, situational football, lowest penalized team. That's always our goal.
Yeah.
There's we've reached that goal many times, and that's kind of our MO. That's kind of the way we play. And so
Yeah.
like that's super important from a leadership standpoint. And that was my job to teach the young guys, the young tight ends that came in, like, hey, this is how we do things. Like we sit in the
Mhm.
first two rows, we wear our college shirts, we never, there's things that you do as a football player at Minnesota, and the leadership aspect to it is super, super important.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, talk about like you if you have a bunch of coordinators or a bunch of position coaches, you touched on Coach Flex staying and being there for your whole time. He's been here for going on 10 years now, and him coming in and really retaining the tradition of Minnesota tight ends is so crucial, right? They're the smartest guys on the field, toughest guys on the field usually, and they make big plays within our offense. So talk about how when you're losing coordinators, when you're losing position coaches, most guys nowadays would jump in the portal, either follow their coach or try to find a different home that has a little bit more stability with the position coach. Um, for you, maybe you want to go back home. Like when I was at Notre Dame, I decided to come back home, and it was a great decision for me. But talk about the importance of staying where you're at, staying here at Minnesota your whole 5 years, and not jumping in the portal when a coach leaves or you got somebody ahead of you or um, any of the factors in today's college football. Talk about the importance of staying home.
Yeah. There was a lot of things that went into it, like I said, the importance of Fleck and his philosophy of how the offense is run at Minnesota, that stayed true when I was there. And, you know, this year was a perfect example of that. Like sometimes we had two, three, maybe even four tight ends out there at a time. And, like I said, like tight ends are so versatile. It can give defenses problems. And so his belief in the room, was just kind of like something that gave me peace of mind. No matter like who was coaching the room, the philosophy of the tight ends being used at Minnesota was always going to be there. And so
For sure.
just having conversations over the years about, guys coming in and out, coaches coming in and out in the offense, like the offense has really evolved since my freshman year. And I'm super grateful for kind of where it's been building on. And um, the guys that we've brought in has definitely helped. And just the players and utilizing all of our skill sets is really, really, it's a hard job to do as coaches. And I feel like they've done a great job. And, there obviously there's times as a young guy where you're like, hey, is this the place? Like when I'm not my first 2 years, like I'm not really playing as much. I'm able to play on special teams, but I'm still kind of looking at least a season away from actually getting some good snaps on offense. And like I already talked about it, but like the big thing that really helped me was like those older guys in the room telling me like, hey, you're gonna be a guy here. Like all the coaches know it. Like the players know it. I've been in your shoes, and what you're going to be in when we're gone is you're going to be an elite guy, and that really helped me, and kind of making those hard days of like, you put so much into it, those 4-day lifts and whatever, like all that work, and you don't really get to see it come to fruition until you get on the field. And just like sometimes it's easy to transfer, but it takes real commitment and dedication to, you know, you want to see where your work is. You want to see your work, you know, on the field, and I wanted my work to show at Minnesota. And that's why, you know, just just the guys around me, it made me work harder, and it made me want to stay because I wanted to show all my hard work for the university on the field at Minnesota. I didn't want to work hard developing, becoming a great player at Minnesota and then go play and show it elsewhere. That's not really where my belief system was. My family, like, we were committed to being here, and I'm so glad it's my home away from home. I spent more time there in the past 5 years than here back
Yeah.
in Illinois, obviously. And I've made great friends, and a great network up there, and so I'm super grateful for Minnesota. I really had never been there before I started getting recruited by them, and I was so glad I came. And I at the end of it, like, I couldn't imagine ever leaving, and I know that's not really how things are right now.
Yeah.
But like for me, it was super. Like, it was super amazing for me to stay in that spot and get familiar with everything, and then I can take my knowledge of being there 5 years and give it to the guys that are coming in. And hopefully my influence is being passed down to show the guys that, hey, like, you can come in as a guy that I needed a lot of development. Like, I was not ready to play. My my body, my skill set, like, everything needed to be developed. And
Hmm.
like, I can kind of tell those guys, like, hey, my testimony is you can come to Minnesota and you could be successful on the field, but it can take development. It can take a couple years. And I think sticking to it, sticking committed to it, committed to the culture, committed to the university, that's where I was when I signed my letter to come here. Like, when I was ready and I made my decision on coming here, my decision was a 4-year, 5-year decision. Like, I
Yeah,
was not I was not making my decision of like, hey, I'm just gonna try it out. Like, that's not
for
really where
sure.
my head was, and I'm so glad I did that because the experiences I've made and all the fun I've had was all at the same place. And
Right.
I'm
And
I'm
that
super
speaks to
grateful, blessed to be able to
that. Yeah. And that speaks so strongly to your maturity level and your commitment. Like, whatever you do down the line, like, your commitment level is through the roof. So that really speaks to that well. Now that you're graduated and moving on, doing the pre-draft process, coming up here soon. I think you start on Monday, right? You start training on Monday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So talk
Yep.
about that and how uh just how you're looking forward to that and how Minnesota prepared you for this next step going into the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm super excited for this journey. There's obviously a lot of unknowns. You go from being, at the same place for 5 years, and now you're kind of ready for this next chapter that, you could be a bunch of different places. You could be nowhere. Like, it all really just depends. And, what I learned from Minnesota is whatever you're doing, whatever you have in mind, put your full effort into it. Leave no doubt, leave nothing, no stone unturned, and just go full throttle, give it your absolute best. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. um just I'm gonna get my body and everything to the best of the abilities in the next couple weeks, the next few months, and just take any opportunity and make the most of it. And I obviously faith is a big thing in my life, and so just sitting down and reflecting and having that time to just be thankful for any opportunities I get here in the few months leading up to, kind of the season next year. And um, but I'm ready. I still have a lot to learn. I haven't obviously been through anything yet, but I think Minnesota just it teaches you how to stick around, how to be valuable, um, how to be a student of the game, and how to just be a hard worker and actually fit in with the team and the culture and do whatever the team asks of you. I think that's something that I've learned personally, and the guys in front of me, they've taught. I mean, they show it. They're an example of it right now. Just what they're able to do and what they're able to overcome to be in the NFL is unbelievably difficult. And I think it speaks volume of what it means to be a tight end in Minnesota and how valuable they are in the NFL. And I think that's super important, and it shows something as a culture and as a university.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. No surprise that that's where your head's at. Um, there have been tight ends coming out of Minnesota in recent years. Um, they've either been a true Y, part of the blocking scheme and in the route structure, or more so like a F where they're just blocking, and that's where they find their role and that's where they make their money. Talk about like the pride you take in being a complete tight end. You're a fantastic blocker and you can make
Yeah,
people miss. You can make people miss down the field, get that separation, good hands, and really a reliable source for a guy like Drake Lindsay, who's a young quarterback, um, to hit you down the field. Talk about the pride you take in that.
yeah. I mean, I think just being in the offense that we've kind of developed these past 2 years, that's kind of where all my catches, all my touchdowns, all my most of my playing time was these past 2 years. Um, like when you have a guy like Drake and Matt's throwing you the ball, it makes it pretty easy and it makes it pretty fun to be out there. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, like these past 2 years, I've kind of had the team has had different needs for me. Just in general, like 2024 season, Nick was there and he was an amazing blocker and he was really great in the run game and he was like a true Y and he excelled at that. And so the
yeah,
team needed an F, a more hybrid guy, and that's kind of where I was. I was more like an F H kind of guy. And
yeah,
I was out there on third down. I was faxing, I was running the backfield, like, I was motioning everywhere and I was more mobile in 2024 and blocking perimeter and stuff like that, running down the field. Um, and that's kind of where my role was. And I feel like I did a good job and I was able to, get some receptions, get some yards, do well in the run game, score some touchdowns. And like that was where my role was in 24. And then Nick leaves and he had like 500 something snaps. And I was like, hey, how well this off season can I get at doing what I did in 24, but also take those snaps that Nick did and fit them into me, and how can I be valuable? I mean, being a tight end is a challenge. Like you have things to work on like all the time. Like you're never going to be a master at one thing in the tight end and like in the tight end position. Like you have to be good at pass pro. You have to be good at run blocking. You have to be good at running routes. You have to be you have to be good on special teams. And, you know, I put a lot of emphasis on, being a good Y and also being that reliable F that I was in 24. And, I kind of took on more of a Y role this year. Um, I still had, I still had pretty good production in the pass game, but on first and second down when we're running the ball, like I was going to be out there and I was going to be in the scheme, especially when we got into the goal line or the green zone. Like that was when it was my time to go in there, block the C gap, like and do my job to the best of my ability. And I'm super grateful for having those 2 years to I kind of touched all of the roles of being a tight end, like split out, I was attached, I was in line, I was in the backfield, I was doing all different types of responsibilities. And, I think that speaks to my versatility and being a valuable tight end. I might not be the best at one particular thing, but I'm sufficient at doing pretty much anything a tight end is asked to do. And take pride in being on special teams, KOR, punt return, punt. And so like I think just being the best football player is, what I'm interested in. And I think if I can keep developing and I can keep getting better and being better in the technique, being better in getting separation, being better in those things, I think I can have success and further my football career.
Yeah, no doubt. Seriously, like I saw it in my first year at Minnesota, 2022. Like you were, uh, Nick was obviously the lead blocker along with Brevin, but when you were in there,
hmm
like we didn't miss a beat. When I was playing tackle and you were the tight end next to me, we didn't miss a beat as far as blocking scheme went. And then to see you develop in the pass structure as well was just so cool to see. So can't wait to watch that happen at the next level too. But talk about that. Talk about the difficulty to have the strength, be big and strong enough to move a 290-pound D end, but also shifty enough to create separation in the secondary.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's a lot of fun because you know you can give defenses problems. You can kind of hide tendencies by just being out there and be like, hey, you know, 86 is in the game. Like, are they going to throw it? Are they going to pass it? Like, is he going to be out in a route? Is he going to be protecting? Is he going to, fake run block and then go leak out and catch an explosive play? Um, it's a lot of fun, but it is difficult just because you're you're not as good as an offensive lineman at blocking or pass pro. Like you'll never be, at that level just because of how good you guys are and how much time and intentionality you guys have with it. But you're also not going to be as good as a route runner as a pass catcher as a wide receiver is just because of how much time and detail they have and their body types. You're not going to be as
For
heavy
sure.
as an offensive lineman. You're not going to be as strong. You're not going to be as fast and twitchy as a wideout. And so you have to kind of find that happy medium of, hey, like I'm strong enough. I can do the things that the coaches and the scheme asks of you in the run game, but you have to be able to stress the pass game and be a reliable option and make contested catches. And that's kind of your life. And so like the best you can do at both of them is you're just going to keep elevating the tight end play, and then you're just going to be able to go out there and have more success on the field because as you know, like football is it's a hard game, it's imperfect, and it you can give so much to it and it gives you so little. And then the next the next game, the next play gives you so much and you're just like completely fulfilled. And so like just being a tight end,
Yeah.
you get all the emotions, you get all the highs, all the lows, but most importantly, like you're able to be there, for everything. You know what I mean? So it's cool you get to experience it all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. My my old man played tight end at the U, so growing up, he had those memories to share with me, and he really, couldn't have had a better time there. And he loves watching the tight end room thrive. Loved watching you play. What are some of those things that you're going to miss at Minnesota, or maybe your favorite memory on the field?
Man, like this year, obviously you miss all the things that come with being a student athlete at Minnesota. It's the Minnesota summers that you build all winter to be able to experience the summers there, and the
Yeah.
golf and the lake houses and everything is just so much fun. Um,
Yeah.
but just something from this year, like that Wisconsin game was like so special to me, just because when I'm a young guy and I see guys like Ko and Brav and Nick go out on senior day, um, and like to win those games, those rivalry games are super important. But for me, for my senior day on that field with cold and snow, and the fact that I can look around the stadium and see that it's still filled, like
Yeah.
it was super special, and like it's something I definitely won't take for granted. I'll always have that memory, and being able to score a touchdown in that game and celebrate with my guys, and
The
see
Snow Angel.
everyone run onto the field like was surreal. And so that's something that I'm definitely gonna take for the rest of my life. Like just having that experience with my guys in my last home game was was super special.
That's awesome. Yeah, dude, those rivalries, you'll remember them forever. And especially the fact that you got to contribute so much in that game, catching a crucial touchdown. The Snow Angel Selly will live on forever. That was so sick. Um, I just got one more
And it just
question,
felt
then
right.
we'll yeah, that's perfect. I got one more question, then we'll jump into our honor roll, which I'll explain that. But is there a tight end in the NFL that you emulate, that you're trying to aspire to be, or are you kind of your own player? You kind of got your own style.
No, I think there's so many great tight ends in the NFL that, kind of emulate what it means to just be like a butt kicker, you know what I mean? Like just
Yeah,
like guys who sustain success in the NFL. There's guys like George Kittle that, you his highlights are like split evenly. Like, is he getting a pancake block? Is he scoring touchdowns? And like his
yeah,
energy and his his brotherhood with his teammates is super like cool to watch. And so like I like watching him on film, obviously, who he is as a dude. Like that's kind of who a tight end is. And there's so many guys that, play the game just like him. And but yeah, I mean, like over the past couple years, like watching George Kittle and guys like him, the way that they just play with so much effort and toughness, and it's really cool to watch. And it's kind of like you're like, hey, I'm chasing you. Like that's the role model right there. You know what I mean? Like if you want to see how a guy plays tight end in the NFL, like watch those guys play. And I think there's a lot to get better at, but I'm super excited to get get to this point.
yeah, yeah. Seriously, he's a great tight end, and definitely one to look up to. Um, I think a lot of guys are chasing guys like George Kittle. You know what I mean? To try and
Yeah.
be that, the today's day and age of the NFL, that type of tight end, and that is a complete tight end right there. So definitely a great one to look up to.
Right.
So honor roll. Each week we bring something that we love, right? Something that it can be within football or out of football. It could be something serious or something funny. Um, anything your shout out this week, whether it's a person or a thing. I'll start. I'm going to go with two. this week because Tanner's not here for the interview, and Tanner normally gives two. So my first one is the golf sim. I love golfing.
Oh yeah.
In the summer and the fall, I got to experience fall golf for the first time, like ever. But now that the winter's here, the snow's on the ground, can't golf, hitting the golf sim, there's nothing better. My second one are friends that never die. Those guys that, it could be years the last time you saw them, but you just pick up right where you left off. And I think you're one of those guys for me. Tanner's one of those guys. And I can't wait to continue to grow this friendship, even though you're going to be kicking ass on an NFL roster here soon. Maybe the Vikings, so maybe we'll be close. But those are my two
Oh
honor
yeah.
rolls this week. What do you got, Jamo?
Nah, those are super strong. Um, an easy pick for me would have to be the English Bulldog breed.
Okay.
They're tubby, they got personality, and some of them aren't lookers, but man,
No.
like they're awesome dogs. You know what I mean? Some
Yeah,
people think they're not the cutest dog, but I mean, you just got to experience them at
they're a
least
good
once
time.
in your life. They are a great time, and I got one myself and was able to hang out with them this week. And whenever you got a plate of food, he's giving you those googly eyes because he's
Yeah,
hungry as well.
drooling
Yeah,
all over the
but yeah,
place.
oh yeah, not much physical activity for the most part. Maybe a few stairs, but that's about it.
That's awesome. That's a great honor roll. Well, JMO, thanks for being here, man. We really appreciate it. We love you here on the pod. We'd love to have you back sometime. Best of luck with your pre-draft process. We'll be watching for you. Thank you for all you did for Gopher football. And yeah, bro, just take care and hopefully stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Thanks for having me on. Love you guys as well. It's super cool to watch you guys and your content. Your content's awesome. So, super, super honored and happy that I was able to hop on with you guys.
Yeah, for sure, dude. We'll have you again sometime. But say
Absolutely.
what's up to your family for us. Enjoy your time at home these next couple days before you head off to training. But yeah, we'll see you, brother. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. We'll see you, dude.